Hey there, I hope you're having a wonderful day. I want to talk about the pitfalls of D&D adventures that actually get in the way of having fun. So let's talk about Dungeon Masters, specifically the adventures they run. Scenes where NPCs give out a lot of exposition. This is something I'm afraid of doing all the time. I have done this, and it's essentially confusing your players. When you talk about things in the world and not the things that are in the adventure, the quest, yes, you're fleshing out the world, but it's irrelevant to the players. So you're just confusing them with details that they thought mattered when you started talking, but by the end, they're not sure how it applies. Scenes where NPCs talk to each other and not the players, even if the players are in the scene. This is a tough thing to, you, as a dungeon master, are not the greatest one-man show. There are people like Critical Role who have done this, and it can be fun and interesting, but they are also trained voice actors. The way they speak is a profession, so it's interesting to listen to. And unless you're that, you gotta lean into something else. Talk more to the players than the other NPCs. Involve the player, especially if the players are in the same scene. You don't want them to just watch you play the game for them. Does it make sense that a couple NPCs might chit chat with each other or mention a key thing? Absolutely. But a whole conversation, a whole scene? No. One of the biggest things I hear Dungeon Masters try to not do is railroad their players. Dungeon Masters often think, all I have to do, give them an extra choice. Make sure that there's more than one door in the dungeon. Railroading your players means their choices don't matter. No matter what choice they make, it won't affect the outcome. What you might be thinking of is a linear story. That's not railroading. A linear story is where scenes, situations, challenges, and encounters influence the next, because a linear story is from beginning to end, and what happens in between matters to get to that end. The little choices along the way, choosing to not go through the front door, go through a window, choosing to distract a monster while everyone else gets away. You gotta let these small choices, let these yes and opportunities exist. Often I find the DMs that are worried about railroading, they're afraid of giving up control to other people, not knowing what's going to happen next. You gotta let go of the reins sometime. You're not the player, you're the processor. Another pitfall are dungeon masters who don't give enough information for players to actually make choices. When you start out as a DM, being vague is usually due to lack of confidence or a fear of not necessarily control, just a fear. When you give players vague information, you don't give them information that they can make critical choices, creative ideas to. That stops a lot of fun. If you're going to give players more information or more choices, you gotta decorate those choices, such as if I'm going to put 2 or 3 doors in a dungeon, it can't just be 3 doors. There is no choice there. It's just gambling. But if one door is blue, one door is red, one door is green, the blue door is made of iron, the red door is made of wood, the green door is made of vines. A choice comes from having a understanding of the potential of what to come through my actions. If it's just choosing something bland without detail or foreshadowing the possible outcome, you're not making a choice, you're gambling. It's something I work on every time I play, and I don't get right every single time. Having mega combats take way too long to play. I've done this, I've learned a lot of lessons. You scale back the combats a bit, guys. I know the CR system and how to run combat in D&D gets pretty bland at times, so you start to stuff it and make it feel bigger than it really is. Back it off. Simplify combat a little bit more. Combat shouldn't last more than 3 or 4 rounds. It's easy to mess up, and it's okay. If you do these things, by the way, take the L, treat it as a learning lesson, and do better next time. What mega combats are single session combats. The entire session is built around a single combat. If you were planning for a 4-hour combat and didn't let the players know that, hey, today is just going to be combat. Oh man, I would be so frustrated as a player, because I was like, that's it? But for some reason, the DM thought it would be fun to wait 20 minutes to swing a sword, potentially miss, wait another 20 minutes, and do that for 4 hours. That's a mega combat. The worst mega combats out there are when it's a single monster versus the group. Another pitfall for dungeon masters is making NPCs that don't want anything to do with the players. If an NPC shows up and a player interacts with that NPC has to somehow, for some reason, be interested in the party. Why'd you give that NPC a name? Literally, they disappeared faster than a monster that you spent all weekend painting. Yeah, maybe they picked the old man and you were hoping they'd pick the little young girl to have the conversation with. Well, they picked the old man. The old man now knows what the little girl knew. Make the NPCs matter. Some people say Counterspell is a fun ruiner. I disagree. I have been tricked multiple times in a game unknowingly that stopped me from being able to use Counterspell. And I have congratulated my players every single time when they find a way to make sure I can't Counterspell. It is incredible. When I do it, it is fun. It's a stinging kind of fun. And it's a tactic that some players might go, he might use Counterspell. I need to find a way to prevent this. It's just a challenge to overcome, not a thing that stops the fun. I also enjoy the dynamic of players versus Dungeon Master. When we're actively playing, it's totally okay. But it is a bit between us to have fun. It allows me to feel okay playing the bad guy if you guys treat me like the bad guy. This video, like all the videos on this channel, are brought to you by the patrons of Fables D20. If you want to be a patron, go ahead and sign up on the link down below, patreon.com/fablesd20. I hope this video points out some things that you might want to double check and work on to improve and become better at. Go ahead and make sure you have fun playing D&D. And my name's Carmichael, and I'll see you next time.